the web browser was if you were on 9.60 or below. But this new web browser exploit chain works from firmwares 6.0 up to 11.02. So what we can do first of all is we need to get connected to our network. Now I'll show you two ways you can set up this exploit. You can set this up using publicly hosted websites that host the exploit, but if you want more control over running the exploit yourself, you can also set it up locally on your own computer, and I'll show you guys how to do that as well. We'll start off with the easy method first of all, using the publicly available sites. Go into the settings and scroll down to System, and go to Automatic Downloads and make sure System Software Update files and Application Update files are both unchecked, and also System Information. We can see we're on Firmware 11.02. That is the highest firmware that is jailbreakable using this new web browser exploit. And now we can go ahead and go into our network settings. And we want to connect to the internet and set up an internet connection. I'm just going to use my wireless connection for now. And we want to make sure we select a custom setup. So then we want to say automatic IP address, do not specify DHCP. We want to do a manual DNS though, and we want to set the primary DNS to 45.56.67.85. So make sure you set that as your DNS address, which is Earth Onion's update blocker. So we can go ahead and click next and then do automatic and do not use proxy. And that will get us all updated and ready to go. So now if I just check by going to System Software Update, you can see it says cannot connect to the server. Updates are being blocked. Game updates should also be blocked. As you can see there, try to download a game update, could not download Don't Starve Together update. So that means the update blocker is working. If you're still receiving updates after entering that DNS server, then we can disconnect from the internet once we get the exploit page cached. So we're going to go on to the web browser, the internet browser. Make sure you delete any frequently used pages by pressing the options button, and you'll have the option to delete your frequently used pages. And then also, if we hit the options button and go to browsing history, press the options button and clear the browsing history. And we also want to press options and go to settings, clear the website data, and you should be good to go from there. So at this point, we're going to go to the URL bar and type in https:// we want to go to zecoaxao.github.io/ntfontu. I'll also leave a second URL to another host that is running the same exploit. So both of them will be in the video description. If this one doesn't work, you can use the other one that is in the video description, and then that will take us over to the exploit and it will start catching it. We want to uncheck the box to auto jailbreak so we can allow it to cache properly. And once the cache is complete, we can go ahead and press options and refresh the page. So we can then enable auto jailbreak if you just want it to jailbreak automatically. The next time you open this page, it will auto jailbreak if you enable that option. You can also choose which kernel exploits you want to load. By default, it selects laps, which is generally the most stable version. So I would probably just leave it on lapped, but you also have the option to change it to the net control kernel exploit as well. So we'll go ahead and enable the auto jailbreak and wait for it to do the countdown, and then it will start running the exploit. Now, just like with any jailbreaks on the PS4, they're not perfectly stable, so you can still run into issues where the jailbreak might fail. You might have to reload it multiple times to get it working. So in this case, it just seems to be stuck here, so I'm going to go ahead and refresh. Not enough free system memory. I'll just click jailbreak to skip the auto jailbreak and get straight into the jailbreak there. So now it's running. And there it goes. It says end, and there we have Gold Hen running. So it automatically loads the latest build of Gold Hen, and that's you now up and running with the jailbreak right there. As you can see, we have everything loaded. So that's the easy way to get the jailbreak set up. Also, if you're still getting system and game updates on your console, then you can now go into the network settings and uncheck the box to connect to the internet so that you're now offline and you're not going to be able to get any future system updates. But if you go back on the web browser, it will go to the previously loaded page, which as you can see here is still the exploit site, because this page is now cached in the web browser. So you can also, right-click and add this to your bookmarks as well, so that you'll always be able to, access this page again. If you, for instance, lose the page, you'll always be able to just go to your bookmarks and then go to the exploit there, and it will take you straight here. Because the page was cached when we first loaded it online, we are just loading the offline cached version, which can be used to load the jailbreak offline now, so an internet connection is no longer needed. It's only needed the first time you load the exploit to cache the page. So that's basically how you get things up and running. That's the easy way. I'll also show you guys an alternative setup, which is better for blocking updates. This second method will definitely block updates properly if you were getting problems with updates not being blocked with the previous method. So the way we do it here is we go back into our settings, we go to our network settings. Again, we select automatic IP, do not specify DHCP, but we do a manual DNS setup, and this time we change the primary DNS to 127.0.0.1. This will definitely block updates, but it also effectively blocks the internet as well. So we're going to go ahead and just do automatic for everything else, do not use proxy, and then we get connected back up to our network, but we don't really have proper internet access right now. So this is the manual setup option. So in order to set up the jailbreak manually so that you host it yourself, that you have control over the exploit itself, instead of relying on a public host, what we can do is simply head over to the exploit project itself, the repo, and we can go to the code and download it as a zip file. And then we also want to download NanoDNS, the latest version for PS4. We download that payload. And we also want to download Goldhen, the latest build of Goldhen from Sistro. Once you have everything downloaded, you can extract the exploits to a folder on your desktop. And then we can go into the public folder in here and the source folder. And inside here, we're going to open up the Goldhen 7-zip file. So you'll need 7-zip or WinRAR to open the Goldhen zip. And then we're going to take the goldhen.bin file and extract it into that folder, into the source folder. And then we're going to rename the payload from goldhen.bin to kload.bin. You also want to make sure you have view, show, file name extensions ticked in Windows Explorer to make sure the file name is correct, payload.bin. The other benefit of hosting it yourself is that you can put a different payload to load in here, like an older version of Goldhen or the PS4 Hen project, instead of the payload that the public hosts are using. You should be good to go there. So at this point, we can right-click in the root directory that contains the host file, and we're going to open in terminal. You can also click up here in your file explorer and type in cmd space and press enter, and that will also open up a command prompt window in this same location. We want to type in Python, and then we're going to type in -- version, and it'll tell us if we have Python installed, so I do have Python installed. If you don't, it'll probably open up the Microsoft Store and take you to the Python install page on the Microsoft Store where you can just download and install it there. To get Python installed, once it's installed, we can type in python post.py and press enter, and that should start running the server. So now we're running a local server on our computer that is hosting the exploit that we can connect to on our PS4 that's connected to the same network as the computer. You'll also need to obtain your computer's IP address by opening up a command prompt window and typing in the ipconfig command to get the IP address of the network adapter that's providing your computer with the internet connection. So you'll need to grab that first of all. And of course, that is the IPv4 address. So mine is 192.168.1.128. Okay, so back on the PS4, we just go onto the internet browser again. And this time we go to https:// make sure it's https:// the IP address of your computer, which was 1.128, and then we want /public. So enter /public, just like this. So the IP address of your computer, /public, and then we can tell it to go. We'll say yes to accept the security certificate, and then it will cache the page, and here we are back on the same jailbreak again. Although obviously I already have the jailbreak running, so I don't need to load it a second time, but you can load it again from here, hosted from your own computer, and again, because it's cached, you'll be able to turn off the internet. You don't need to host the exploit every single time on your computer. You only need to host it once to cache the exploit, and then once the exploit is cached, we can again go offline on our PS4, and we'll still be able to access that same site here, as you can see, because it is cached in the browser, so we don't need to be running the exploit host on our computer every single time we want to jailbreak, only the first time to cache the page. We'll reconnect to the internet again to set up NanoDNS, which is a more concrete way of gaining internet access while blocking updates. So if we go into our Goldhen settings and we go to the server settings and enable the FTP server, note down the IP address that shows up there in that notification. So switching over to the computer one last time, we're going to load up FileZilla or some FTP client on your computer. This will be left in the video description. We're going to enter the IP address of the PS4 that showed up in that notification, and also port number was 2121, and we can quick connect to connect remotely to our PS4's file system. So then we're going to go into the data folder, And inside the data folder, we're going to right-click and create a new directory called payloads. And then inside the payloads directory is where we're going to copy the NanoDNS payload. For the PS4, we just copy it in there. And that should be all we need to do. If we switch back over to our PS4, we can then go to GoldHen, and we can go to the server settings and make sure Enable Payloader is ticked. And then we can go to the Utility section, Payloader, Launchpad, and you can see we have NanoDNS showing up here. We can select it, and that will load NanoDNS on the console. And there it goes. That should now give us an internet connection while properly blocking system updates. For the PS4 and game updates, they should be properly blocked. So now we should have a safe internet connection on the PS4, and we could go into the GoldHen settings and update the cheats, patches, and plugins, and download applications from the Homebrew store. That's the benefit of getting an internet connection on the PS4 while safely blocking updates. So that's how you get the new WebKit Jailbreak set up to firmware 11.02 on the PS4 from Nathan Fargo and UFM42, with also Dr. Yan Yan and Arab Pixel also contributing. So hope you guys enjoyed this video or found the information useful. If you did, please